Well, looky here. Fire! Woo! All right, guys. So we've got some updated totals for Suicide Squad. I want to show you guys. So first of all, here are the estimated totals from the last time I showed a video. And domestically, that's 322,533,924. That's domestic. Internationally or foreign, the estimate was 419.6 million. Okay, a worldwide gross of 742,133,924. Right. This is the updated total. And if you look here, looky here, you will realize that the total has actually gone up. Remember, this was 533,000 and then some other number. All right, and I'll show you it again so you can see it was 924, right? And as you can see in the updated total, it's 547,564, which is a lot more, right? It's a couple thousand more. So again, the estimation, it actually went above the estimation domestically. Apparently, the foreign number is still an estimation. The numbers haven't really actually come in. Probably come in tomorrow. But nonetheless, this carries its worldwide gross up now. It's higher than it was before. It's no longer 742,133, 742,133,000, whatever the other number was. No, now it is 742,147,564. So it's gone up. What does this mean? When we look at all-time box office totals, it means that Suicide Squad is now moved up yet another position. It is now behind Monsters University, having overtaken The Matrix Reloaded. The last time we looked at it, it was behind The Matrix Reloaded, and it was ahead of Up. Now, it has passed The Matrix Reloaded, and it is now chasing down Monsters University. Okay? So it's now in all-time rankings 77th in terms of worldwide grosses. The 77th highest worldwide gross, period. And that's impressive. And The Matrix Reloaded, if anybody knows it, I was a fan of The Matrix. All of the trilogy was no jokey film. It was very good. It was an excellent film by the Wachowski brothers. And Suicide Squad has just surpassed that. Alright? It's very close right now, but it still surpassed it. Right? And that's really interesting. Now, in terms of its all-time domestic box office, Suicide Squad is somewhere at number 49. It's still behind Shrek the Third, but it will overtake Shrek the Third in a matter of days if it hasn't done it already. But the next film that it has to chase down, or should I say pair of films that it has to chase down, is Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice and Forrest Gump. And they are quite a distance away from it. I don't know if it will make the chase and succeed at chasing them down, but it will darn near close the gap on them. That's for sure. So Forrest Gump is 330 million away, as is Batman v Superman, with just about 100 million more than Forrest Gump. So it should be very interesting if it will actually reach anywhere near there domestically. That makes the conversation very interesting, and I'm looking forward to seeing how far this film can actually go. I would love to see it get in the vicinity of Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice. And if it were to overtake Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice, that would be actually excellent, because it would show again that this film has done something better than the other films before it in the DCEU. And the DCEU keeps on improving. So even though this is basically a set of B-level villains, I'd love to see that happen. I don't know if it'll happen, but we'll have to watch and see, okay? So if it can get past and get ahead of Batman v Superman and just be behind Guardians of the Galaxy, that would be awesome. If it surpasses Guardians of the Galaxy, that would be awesome. If it gets anywhere in the vicinity of Forrest Gump and Batman v Superman, that would be awesome. Because this film has been rated so poorly. It's actually rated worse than Forrest Gump, worse than Shrek the Third, worse than Batman v Superman, worse than Guardians of the Galaxy. So for it to even be in that vicinity in the box office is going to be just fantabulous. It shows that it was a good movie. People really enjoyed it, and they went to see it so much that its domestic totals either are on par with these films or they're rivaling these films. And mind you, these are domestic totals, so we can't talk about China in this equation, but it's still very interesting to see that Suicide Squad, which is rated probably the least in all of these films, is actually in there just, just competing with these films right now. It's very competitive, and that's just seriously interesting, because none of these films, I mean, Batman v Superman is pretty close to it, but none of these films are rated low like this film by critics. Critics bash this film for reasons I don't know why. There are no legitimate reasons as far as I'm concerned, but the public completely embraced Suicide Squad, David Ayer's vision, and I really enjoyed that, so I just wanted to say that. So, we go back to Suicide Squad now, and we look at Deadpool. When we look at Suicide Squad in terms of weekends, it has actually done better than its estimated totals. So it was estimated that Suicide Squad would make $1.11 million, right? But in fact, Suicide Squad made $1.12 million, which is again better than the estimated totals. And why that is so awesome is because if you look at that total that you're seeing in front of you, and you look at Deadpool's total, meaning that it decreased by only 41.4% instead of 42.1%. Look at this. We're going to compare it with Deadpool, right? So Deadpool in week 10, which is right here, went down by a 53.3%. All right? 53.3%. Whereas Suicide Squad went down by 41.4%. That is something that has to be applauded. So after its massive drop in its second opening weekend, it really never had a humongous tumble after that. Deadpool has a humongous tumble after that. Suicide Squad did not. And these are very important points to remember. By the way, what did Deadpool gross? It grossed below Suicide Squad. $974,651. So Suicide Squad has overtaken now Deadpool in terms of how it's grossing per week. That is important for you to remember, because remember, we talked about Suicide Squad's legs, we talked about its multiplier, and now we have evidence that it's actually overtaken Deadpool now. Now, we know already that it has overtaken Deadpool in the international box office, but now it's also overtaken Deadpool in its weekend grosses. Here's something else that's very interesting. It's also closing the gap weekly with Deadpool. So now it has grossed in $2,483,229. Deadpool grossed in its week. It grossed in weekly in its 10th week, I believe it is, 9th week, sorry, $2,788,510. So it's like a $300 million gap there. But I'm pretty sure that in its 10th week, Suicide Squad is going to overtake Deadpool. Why? Because the trend is showing that Suicide Squad on its weekly basis is dropping much, much less than Deadpool is dropping. So I expect Suicide Squad to actually catch up with Deadpool as well in that particular race. And those are very interesting things. Now, we already talked about the legs of Suicide Squad, that it actually has, in actuality, better legs than Deadpool. But I just wanted to mention these different points because you're really looking at this very similar audience to Deadpool that went and saw Suicide Squad. It's pretty much the same audience. And the interesting thing about this demographic is this. People enjoy Deadpool, but people seem to really love Suicide Squad. And the only thing that differentiates Deadpool from Suicide Squad is the opening weekend. Deadpool had a big head start in its opening weekend, had an extended opening weekend, and that's where it really got its lead from You look at Deadpool's opening weekend was $152 million, whereas Suicide Squad's opening weekend was $133 million, or $134 million, rounded off to the nearest million. So what I'm saying is that Suicide Squad has done remarkably well, seeing that it even had a lower weekend gross. It's lasting much longer than Deadpool. Well, we'll see. We do have to look at it in terms of weekends, and we also look in terms of weekly. So we'll see how things pan out between those two variables and what kind of end result we're looking at, both with Deadpool and Suicide Squad, because I really want to compare these movies going on much further. There are a lot of things that they have in common. One is that Deadpool did not have China to benefit from. The other thing that's pretty obvious here is that Deadpool is a movie that is rated R. So that means there's a restricted audience to it. And, you have to be a certain age range to watch Deadpool, generally speaking. You could bring kids in to see Deadpool as well, but, its rating kind of limits how many people go see it. So it was really a movie that was targeted to a targeted audience. Guess what? Same thing with Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad, though, was rated PG-13. Some people thought it should have been rated R, like Deadpool. I get it, really. I think if it was rated R, I think the same people that went to see Deadpool would have gone to see Suicide Squad anyway. The point, anyway, is this. That base of people is the same base of people that this Suicide Squad movie appealed to, and they actually enjoyed it, obviously, a lot. And we know that for a fact now, because even though Suicide Squad, unlike Deadpool was rated quite well. I think it was in the 80s or the 90s, I think, by critics. Suicide Squad took a pounding, but nonetheless, the people who went to see Deadpool, they went to see Suicide Squad as well. And some people love Suicide Squad so much that they actually loved it more than Deadpool. Other people will say, oh, besides Deadpool, Suicide Squad is the next best movie of this year. I've heard people saying that on YouTube. I've heard people saying it all the time. And that's the audience, I believe, that went to see Deadpool. There's this particular audience for Suicide Squad. This is now very clear. And it's an audience that age ranges from, it seems as though they start off at around 12, 13 years of age, 11, 12, 13 years of age. And they go all the way up through college, maybe even to university level, maybe the second degree level. We're talking about people ages 12 to ages 35, possibly. That might be the upper end. Now, I'm one that enjoyed Suicide Squad, but let me be honest with you. It's not an intellectually stimulating movie like Batman v Superman. If you had asked me, would I go see Jason Bourne movie or would I go see Suicide Squad movie? I'd say Suicide Squad movie, yes. But really, I think the Jason Bourne movie would more appeal to me. I'm a 41-year-old person, so I'm really not in the demographic that this movie really appealed to them. I didn't go see this movie, like 8, 9, 10 times. Let's put it that way. And there are people who just were goo gaga for this movie. They can't get enough of the movie, and they went and saw it like 14 times and stuff like that. So I understand that the demographic for Suicide Squad is really within a particular age range, from 13 to probably 35, maybe even probably 32. I don't think people in their 30s really this appeals to. 30-year-old people may want more realism or more serious movies. They don't necessarily want jokes and stuff. Depending on who you are, some people are very shallow. But I'm just talking about in the demographic that they were appealing to. So, as I said before, Suicide Squad appeal to a particular demographic, just like Deadpool appealed to a particular demographic. So, and apparently the demographics, they overlap. So, Suicide Squad is one of those movies that is performing pretty much on par with Deadpool. The only reason Suicide Squad had that big drop-off in its second weekend was because of the critical panning by critics. Critics, I don't know what's their problem. They hear DCEU or they hear BVS or something. I don't know what it is. But they just panned the daylight out of Suicide Squad without really thinking. And maybe it's because many of them are older people. They're not really younger people. I saw a constituency people who supposedly represent young people who were saying that this movie was crap and blah, 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 and it was politically incorrect and blah, 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 whatever. What I do know is that while Suicide Squad does not rank as high in my estimation as Man of Steel and as a Batman v Superman, I must say that it's a highly entertaining movie that was designed for a particular targeted audience, just like Deadpool. The only difference with Deadpool is that it's rated R, so it's restricted. And I think if Suicide Squad was probably rated R or was restricted, I think that would have cut out some of the demographics critiques of it in terms of they know it's for adult audiences. You know, restricted kind of tells you, okay, adult audiences, and even if you bring your kids in there, they got to be really, you know, mature in mind. But the thing about it was the Suicide Squad, it was rated R-ish. You know, it's more PG, more on the rated R side, but it still wasn't rated R. So you couldn't give it a rated R rating then. Let's just put it that way. But quite frankly, Suicide Squad was a very good movie, and it's definitely along the lines of Deadpool, and apparently Deadpool people like Suicide Squad, which is interesting because the man who plays Deadpool, who's Ryan Reynolds, he actually was in the DC Universe as Green Lantern, and people keep on forgetting that. So, who knows? Fox may do something with with DC somewhere down the road, and you may see a crossover of Deadpool with the Suicide Squad. And you never know. It's just like one of those crazy things where I don't know how they'll do it, how they'll pull it off, but you just never know, because I'm telling you, there's going to be surprises in the comic book universe as things go along. These franchises, Marvel, Warner Brothers, DC, Fox, they're going to do some really innovative things. We've seen Marvel work with Sony, and Spider-Man is now being integrated into the world of the MCU. All right? So it's not impossible. It's not impossible. We've had comics where Captain America has worked with, I think it was Batman or Superman. I can't even remember. We've had Marvel integrate with DC before. So, guys, keep your fingers crossed. Keep your toenails crossed. The DCU has to still continue to grow and blossom. But I expect at some point in time, there will be a crossover with these different universes. And there will be these interactions. This big hullabaloo is going to happen. And I think, you know, it may be sooner than you think, but it's going to be down the road, because the DCU needs to establish certain characters. They need to have their own standalones and things. But I'm telling you, somewhere in the future, they're going to cross over these things. Fans are going to go nuts. Okay, they're going to go nuts. And I think somewhere in the background, somebody is thinking about this. Believe you me. It's happened in the comics. So if it's happened in the comics and fans drive that to happen, it's going to happen. All right, it'll take a little while to happen, but it will happen. So on that note, anyway, I wanted to just talk about Suicide Squad and how it's progressing in the box office. And I thought it was just a good video to just give you guys. It's going to be 9 o'clock in the night, so let me just get out of this. You guys have a great one.